It's kind of weird how everyone seems to really like the revived Planet of the Apes franchise, but it doesn't really get talked about in the intervening years between each installment. Compared to the now 365-day, 24-hour running conversations over Marvel and DC and all the other so-called cinematic universes, it almost feels like we watch and then mostly forget that this is a widely beloved series spun off from an equally widely beloved earlier series and not merely a biannual argument on film Twitter over whether or not Andy Serkis deserves an Oscar nomination. Well, either way, here we go again with yet another Apes film that merges big blockbuster thrills with compelling intelligent human drama, or if you prefer, thinking man sci-fi, and winds up delivering one of the most satisfying trilogy conclusions I can think of in the modern era in the form of a genuine work of art that will almost certainly go down as one of the best films of the entire summer. Our story picks up several years after the last one, with humanity having been all but wiped out by the same bioengineered plague that has led Caesar and his nomadic colony of hyper-intelligent apes having become hyper-intelligent, and the survivors have seemingly declared open war on the apes in the name of reclaiming the planet for humankind. While Caesar continues to seek peace in hopes of undoing the war-exacerbating actions of the rogue ape Koba in the last film, a vicious new enemy emerges in the form of a ruthless human military general played by Woody Harrelson. When he launches an attack that affects Caesar in a deeply personal way, our ape hero snaps and heads out on a rashly decided mission of revenge that ends up putting his fellow apes in unexpectedly greater danger than ever, and pushes both factions to a breaking point that will ultimately decide the fate of the entire world. To say more would be spoiling both the plot and some of the film's biggest surprises, but what's remarkable about this film, and indeed the whole trilogy up to this point, is just how many risks and genuinely surprising turns it so confidently takes while playing with mainstream Hollywood studio money. I mean, here's a movie where most of the main cast, and this time all but one of the good guys, are motion-captured CGI ape, communicating almost entirely in sign language that plays things bleak, slow, and meditative for long stretches in between the spectacle scenes, and has followed the lead of the original films in using its scenarios for explicitly political storytelling. And it's that hyper-politicized angle that leaps especially to the forefront here. Can't imagine why, as Caesar's apes, both as a nomadic people and later as a put-upon prison population, are reframed as unmistakable stand-ins and Harrelson's maniacal military despot, framing the conflict in terms of a clash of civilization to stop said apes from displacing the human population and ministering to his troops with performative demagoguery and unmistakable visual references to present-day skinhead, militia, and white nationalist movements, with the film leaving absolutely no room for interpretation as to which side we're meant to see as the good guys and which side are not simply villains but literal dead enders who've tipped over into outright apocalyptic evil in the name of misguided civilizational preservation. That's not to say that the film is 100% anti-human, but, well, that would be getting too far into spoiler territory. To be honest, if there's one possible downside for many audiences on this one, I have a feeling it'll be the strikingly dishonest marketing campaign, which has not only exaggerated the actual scale and scope of the action in a film that's less of a war movie than a prisoner of war movie, but has also used brazenly out-of-context editing and dialogue clips to essentially sell audiences on a supposed major storyline that doesn't exist anywhere in the film at all. It didn't bother me because, frankly, the film delivers a better story than it's selling, but don't go in expecting the film you've seen in the commercials, would be my recommendation. My other recommendation would be to go and see it, because War for the Planet of the Apes is a near masterpiece, marred only by a few too many plot turns solved by coincidence in a row and maybe feeling a bit too long toward the end of Act 2. It's easily the best of the new trilogy, stands up with the very best of the originals, and will almost certainly end up being one of the best actually good movies you see this summer. 3.5 stars, it's a must-see.